Ladies and gentlemen, very welcome back to another video. George here, Irish Custom Radios. Hope you're all doing well. Special day. I've never had one of these here before. Gary sent me over this from the UK. This is a Jentec Mk V, and these things are kind of a bit special. Would have started life as a 148 Gtl Dx Mark II, and Mr. Nugent and Mr. Jessup, because Pete Jessup, also known as Radio Pete on the forums and whatnot, he worked alongside John. This would have been nailed together in the early 90s, and unfortunately sometime around the mid 90s or so, I think John Nugent passed away, and I don't think there was a whole pile of these Mark V's built. I know there's other ones with green displays, but I think that there wasn't a whole pile of them made. I'm open to correction on that. These things normally change hands for silly money when they go for sale, and this one is here for some work. You can see we have a segment out there in the display, and I'm hoping that that's just a dry joint. It's only that one, the top segment. All the rest of them are fine. So hopefully. Anyhow, this thing, it has a scan function on it, which is squelch scan. And off she goes, and as soon as she hears something, it stops. Now that's really interesting, because my Super Snake, my Super Snake does that, and the person that made the board that's in that, he has this trademarked apparently, squelch scan, but this would predate that by at least a couple of decades. So that's very interesting. So you can get it to scan up or down. And then we have our step, so it's stepping in 10 kc increments there, and we can flip that down. We go in 1k increments, so you can get your zeros. So it's not a frequency counter in terms of, well, this is where the radio is at. I think it's just you know, it's not a true counter, it's a display counter. So we'll have to see when we move that to 560, for example, is that where the radio is. I have to, but I would think so, because there's a rotary encoder in here. It's not the original channel selector anyway, I can tell you that. So we have our 10k 1k step, then we have our 10kc shift, and you see there, if I flip that now, that stays the same, it doesn't do anything. And if we see the little arrow going across here, that means that we can have it going up 10 kcs or down 10 kcs, whichever you want. So that's all very interesting stuff. This has got chrome cases on it. Bit of a tart sandbag. I built a radio here a good few years ago for a friend of mine in Liverpool, and it had chrome cases, and we call it the tart sandbag. So wouldn't be my cup of tea now, but look, each to their own. Yeah, so let's pop the lid off. We'll just take the bottom cover off, and we'll have a look around inside and see what the story is there. Alright then, so here's the board, and the usual trick here with a lot of guys that do a lot of this modified radio stuff, you can see these are blank, so that means it was sanded off. You can see the marks there, lights flickering, and that's doing my head in. Oh, there we go. That's sanded off. A lot of them do that to hide the identity of the chips they were using. Yeah, it's all very interesting now. Let's see, 8 meg processor, do not remove, static sensitive. And That's a Scan 200, the 12th of October 1992. And this red paint was something that John always done, kind of like his trademark. Beefed up regulator. I don't know what this is about here now. This yellow wire, we're coming down here to this resistor and diode. I'm not sure what that's about now. That doesn't look like something he would have done, because I've had quite a few Cob 1s here, and I've never seen anything like that in them. So this here is for the variable drive, or variable power, which is on what would have been the SWR Cal. If memory serves me right, that works on sideband as well, the way he has it done here. So you can see the, let's turn it around here. Yep. You see the rotary encoder there, and the back of the display. Yeah, so all very interesting. The big heatsink, he used to put these on as well. That's on the back of my Jentec there. That was a Cob 1 originally. That's got one of those heatsinks on it. And but this radio had been converted a couple of times before John got it. How can I tell that? I can tell that by the holes. All them holes were drilled in the back of it, so it had been converted a couple of times. And probably ended up where it got to the stage where it wasn't working right, and was sent to the boys at Jentec to sort it out and get it working properly. Yeah, so indeed. Now there was a bit of messing done here, I can see. There's some solder here on the back of that PLL chip there. Whatever that was for, I don't know. So you never know with these things. And there's another sticker on the lid. So these chrome lids would have been done on it when it was done. That would be its serial number, I guess. 00 something 16, 9th of October 1992. No, what's this say here? I always find this fascinating. No, them cases were on it when it got to the boys. It says T-Bird. Oh, you stop flickering. It's only doing that since I put in them new lights. It says T-Bird 1982. So these would have been putting it back in the day. Very cool. But the chrome is pretty scratched up, but I'd say it'll polish. It'll come back okay. And the face is in very good condition. I don't know who he got to do the inlays for him, but they were actually better quality than what was on them. It looks to be laminated, but it's not. I don't know, it's like a very thin card or something that's laminated. It's a nice job. Yeah, so interesting. Usual. Knobs are manky. Missing digit. Yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see what we're going to do to this one. I'd say it'd be probably just more or less left the way it is, and give it a good service and get it going right, and see where we go from there. Quite cool. So that is the Jentec Mk V Scan 200 board. Mystical unicorns and pixies and fairies emerge from inside in this thing when the lids are on. very sought after radio, and I'm quite excited to have it here, as I keep saying. So you can keep an eye out for this one in the future, and we'll see what we can do with it. Okay, I've blathered on enough now. 10 minutes of waffle now at this stage. So 73, and we'll get you in the next one. And if you're new here, be sure to click the old subscribe button and hit the bell so you'll know when I upload another video. 73 is all. Bye bye.